Well, I think Biden did it deliberately. There's a large number of people in the U.S. government who think the U.S. needs to signal to China that military action would be met by the United States with a serious response, up to and including, a military intervention by the U.S. There are a couple things to note here. One is that the one China policy is not the same as strategic ambiguity. A lot of people get this confused. But the one China policy dictates the United States' relationship with the People's Republic of China and the island and people of Taiwan. That is the underlying policy that remains unchanged here. Strategic ambiguity is a separate issue about whether the United States has and would intervene to defend Taiwan in the event of a conflict. And let me be flat out, the U.S. has no legal obligation to intervene to defend Taiwan. And so it depends on the kind of statements, and ultimately the U.S. backstop of Taiwan's defense depends on the willingness of the U.S. president to put American lives in harm's way. And each American president over the years has signaled in certain ways whether they would or would not do that. Biden is not the first, actually, to come out and explicitly say that he would intervene if there was a military attack on Taiwan. George W. Bush said the same thing in April 2001. And so this is not an unprecedented statement. So my interpretation of this is that Biden is trying to send as strong a signal as he can to the Chinese that the U.S. could and would and has to be involved in responding to military threats against Taiwan.
And, Biden's response to the question about whether he would intervene was tied by the reporter who asked it to the issue of Ukraine. And, and indeed Biden himself tied it to this issue. Has the war in Ukraine made the United States more likely to intervene in Taiwan?
I don't know that it's made it more likely. I do think it's increased the urgency or the kind of importance of signaling to the world that the U.S. does have a strategic interest in seeing the cross-strait division resolved peacefully. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has really, I think, woken a lot of people up to the fact that great power conflict is not a thing of the past, that, a major land war in Europe is occurring right now. A lot of people thought that wasn't really possible or feasible in today's world. And it's clear that it is. And so there's, it's added to the sense of nervousness in Washington about other longstanding security issues the U.S. is concerned about. And at the top of that is the Taiwan issue.
And obviously the US is pivoting, a lot of its focus to the Indo-Pacific, and part of that is a new economic framework called the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. And Taiwan was left out of this. Why? And what does it matter?
It certainly matters. I think Taiwan would benefit from being in it. Taiwan would benefit from a much stronger, more robust and institutionalized economic partnership with all of the countries in that group, as well as with the United States. And so it's, from my view, unfortunate that Taiwan was left out of that. But the reasoning for it, it looks very contradictory. On the one hand, you have Biden saying, we've got to do everything we can to defend Taiwan and to support it. And then on the other hand, don't mention Taiwan when we talk about this new Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, because frankly, Taiwan is a problem for some of the other countries who the Biden administration was trying to recruit to join. So just like with the Trans-Pacific Partnership negotiations, Taiwan's entry into an economic agreement would be opposed by a couple of these members because they're worried about pressure from China. In particular, Vietnam and Malaysia are the two countries that I've heard would be unlikely to participate if Taiwan were involved. And so the Biden administration made a hard decision to leave Taiwan out of this and to try to recruit as many other countries as possible. So that's kind of the political calculation behind this. But it does, to be fair, it does create a policy that looks like a bit of a contradiction.